Hi, and welcome to Real Life with Jenny. My name's Jenny Sinapattaratna. Grab your favorite drink and a snack, and we will get started. Today I have Earl Grey tea and some blueberries. So, nothing special, but sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do to get through the day. So, let's get real. I wanted to talk a little bit about one of my favorite hobbies that I have. I know a lot of us just don't have time for hobbies. We put them off and say, I'll do those when I'm retired. And from what I understand, being retired does not mean that life slows down. Sometimes it means that you have more space in your day, but there's still a lot of things that you fill it with. I look at my mother and father-in-law, and they are very busy people. They make me quite exhausted, actually. They have a lot going on, which is great. But if you don't put hobbies into your life, I don't know that you ever really do. Like if you don't take time when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, I don't know that you add them in your 70s. Maybe you do. Maybe that's your plan. I hope it is. But one of my hobbies started out of pure necessity. I have a trailer that we live in, and we have a beautiful white door in front of our house. And it is super plain. We actually have no trees in our yard. We have very little of anything in our yard. Our yard is just kind of an ugly little shed, and that is it. No real decorations. I am not a big outdoors person, like, let's be honest. Being outdoors in dirt just does not... I have tried to have like a little garden. It's not my thing. I had hostas at one point. They were these beautiful, beautiful plants. They were huge. And somebody came and ate them all and they never came back. So just outside is super plain. And I was walking around a store and I saw this beautiful front wreath for a front door. And it was gorgeous. I was like, this is exactly what I want from my house. I believe that it was a heart-shaped wreath with red roses all around it. And I'm like, that would really pop on my white door and our gray. We have like a light gray siding. I mean, it is really boring. And I looked at the price and I think, if I remember right, it was like $75. And I was like, okay, yeah, that is not happening. I am just super cheap. That did not seem like an appropriate price for me. I was like, I cannot purchase this wreath. It is just not happening. Now, I will be honest. I went back and I bought that wreath at 80% off after the season was over, and I got it for like $8. I used it for one season, and I have actually used it every season since by ripping everything off and starting over. And it is one of my favorite wreath forms, but we'll get there. So I decided, I saw this beautiful wreath and several others, and there's $50 to $75. And honestly, I was like, I can make this, right? Really? That's not true. They're a lot of work. But I started making wreaths for my front door. It is one of my favorite things to do. Some of them are super simple. Some of them are really fancy. But they are all really cheap. I never spend more than $10, maybe $15 if I'm getting a little wild on the materials. I always reuse everything. Like I said, I started this over 10 years ago, and I still have the wreath form from that heart that I bought on 80% clearance that I use, and it is currently a fall wreath. It is so cute. It's wrapped in this really pretty yarn that I got that has multiple colors for the fall, and then it has some really beautiful flowers on it. It's one of my favorite wreaths. But I reuse them. I remake one for every season. So every year I make one for when my daughter would graduate at the end of the school year or the beginning of the school year or Valentine's Day or Christmas, and one for fall, one for Thanksgiving, one for the summer. Like, it has been such a fun thing to do. I absolutely love it. It is super weird. And I will walk into the Dollar Tree, my local Dollar Tree, and it used to be everything for $1, and now they've upped the price. And so now I'm kind of shopping other places because like I said, I'm really cheap. but it is really a fun thing to do. And it takes me anywhere from 5 to 10 hours to make a wreath, sometimes an hour if they're super, super simple. Like one year, I took a bunch of rulers that I got for 99 cents and I glued all the rulers together. And then I wrote out welcome with really cute little like letters and stuff, and it was so adorable for my back to school. My daughter was little and she just loved it because it was like a wreath made of rulers. Like, it's just about creativity and fun. And so it's kind of my guilty pleasure is making these wreaths and always having something new on the door. And why am I sharing this? I don't know, really, honestly, because I think that we all need to be inspired to try new things and stop worrying about maybe what they look like or how perfect they are, because my wreaths sometimes are gorgeous. Like sometimes I'm like, wow, I should sell this one. This one's beautiful. And other times I'm like, do I put this on the door? Like, or should I just put it on the inside of the door? So I see it and no one else does. You know, we're so afraid sometimes to try new things because we're afraid we're going to fail and it's not going to be perfect. And I look at Pinterest all the time and I look at these gorgeous wreaths and I use them for inspiration, and I use things that are way outside the box or that would be kind of fun. I've made one full of pencils one year for back to school, and that honestly was one of my favorite ones. I think I actually sold that one to somebody because it was so cute. Oh my goodness, that was an adorable one. But it was really cheap. So what have you always wanted to do? Like, I'm going to do this when I have more time, right? Fill in the blank. I'm going to learn how to cook. I'm going to learn how to bake. I'm going to start pottery. I'm going to, I don't know, travel even. Things like that that we just put to the side. I am here today to challenge you to stop putting it to the side. We have those things in our life, and I want you to take time to do them. I have a really good friend that I just absolutely treasure. She is somebody that just speaks into my life, and I just absolutely love her. And she decided to start reading again and taking time for herself to read books. Now, I know that sounds super simple, but we do not do that. We do not take the time to start reading books. And every time she finishes a book and she tells me, I celebrate with her. I'm so excited because you know what that means? She's taking time for her and really caring about herself and not letting everything else and the chaos of life take over, but allowing herself to have a hobby and something that is for her. So what have you been putting on the back burner? You know, I've been talking about bucket lists for weeks and months now, and I am changing my bucket list. Shh, I know. I'm going to go through and do my bucket list in a different way because when I did it the first time 15 years ago, I put things on there that I thought I should do. You know what I mean? Like I put things on there that like are people that have lived life do these things, like downhill skiing. Like you haven't lived life unless you downhill skied. And now I'm like, okay, I'd like to continue living life, so I'm not going to do downhill skiing. But there are so many things that I want to do that I put off, and I just don't take time, except for my wreaths. I always take time, no matter if it's a couple hours, up to 10, that I just set aside to make me smile every time I walk up to my house. I park the car and I walk up to the house and I think, oh, that's really cute. Instead of, oh, this house is so boring. Just that pop just makes me smile. So what can you do in your life to bring a little pop back into it? Giving yourself 1 to 2 hours a week that do something that you've always wanted to do. Don't be afraid to fall. Don't be afraid to fail. Let's do this. Let's try some new things and see what joy can come from that little teeny moment. One other thing that I've done that has been really important is every trip we go on, I make into some kind of collage. Now, they are not spectacular. I do not put them out with a bunch of people. No one really sees them. But I put a little mini collage together, whether it's just being the 3 or 4 pictures from there or one picture or whatever from that vacation that I hang around my home. So when I walk around, I go, oh, that was so fun. Do you remember when we sat and we were relaxed? Do you remember that moment? And then you move on with your life. And you are like, yeah, life is not a vacation, but sometimes it's really about what is your next vacation. A very wise man in my husband's life taught him something that has changed our life, and it was always make sure your next vacation is planned. And it has really changed who we are because we don't live to relax, but it's nice that know that we eventually will. And when you don't have something planned and you don't have something to look forward to, life can get really overwhelming. And so I suggest that you look for a small thing you can do in your life this week by adding that new hobby. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm actually excited to hear what it could be. But take time for yourself to add that new hobby or plan your next trip. One of those two things this week. Well, that's all I have for you this week. You can find me at Real Life with Jenny on Instagram and on Facebook. Come on and join our community. We would love to hear from you and hear what new thing you're going to be doing this week and where you're going to be traveling next. Wouldn't that be fun? You can also find me at christconnection.cc/Jen. All of my information's there. I would love to come out and be a part of the community that you're with, whether it's a women's tea or it's a Sunday morning, just to come out and encourage the love of Jesus wherever you are. You can also connect with me there at christconnection.cc/Jen. Like, rate, and share this podcast. And most of all, go on to Facebook with Instagram and Facebook, Real Life with Jenny, and tell us what you're going to do to give yourself something just that is all about you, not about anybody else, but what little hobby or thing are you going to put in your life to bring you joy? Have a great week.